Welcome. So meeting today. To get started, we'll do some introductions in case we have anyone that is joining us for the first time, so folks are aware who are with us today. What I'm going to do is do the popcorn effect. So I'll introduce myself, I'll toss it to someone else, and then that person will toss it to someone else until we get through everyone that's on the call with us today. So I'm Yvette Young. I am an Associate Vice President at the Village for Families and Children. I'm here on the council representing human trafficking, and I'm also a co-chair for the council. I'm going to toss it to my co-chair, Judge Baldini.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Laura Baldini. I'm a Superior Court judge. I'm also the co-chair with Yvette on this council. Nice to see everybody. And anybody else can jump in.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm Debbie Witkin. I'm the Executive Director of Connecticut Legal Services, and I've been on the council for a number of years. Glad to see everybody, and I will toss it to Beth Hamilton.
Hi, everyone. I don't know why I cannot get my camera to come on and stay on right now. So I am here and see all of your lovely faces, and it's probably better that you can't see mine. I am the Executive Director of the Connecticut Alliance to End Sexual Violence, and it is wonderful to see you all. And I apologize. I'll try to get my stuff working well here soon.
I can jump in. My name is Amy Lupoli. I'm the Senior Director of Clinical Services at Klingberg Family Centers. And I've been a part of the council now, it'll be almost 2 years actually at this point. So I represent a lot of the children behavioral health services.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jessica Pisano. I'm the Director of Victim Services with Survivors of Homicide. It's nice to see everyone, and I will toss it to Jim.
Good afternoon, everyone. Jim Morgan, Program Manager here at the Office of Victim Services. And I'll send it over to Mary.
Good afternoon, everyone. Mary Kazicki, Deputy Director with the Office of Victim Services, and I believe Linda's on the phone, and I'll toss it over to her.
Hi, everybody. Linda Cimino, Director of the Office of Victim Services for 2 weeks. It's nice to see everybody. I'm at a medical appointment with my mother, which is why I'm not.
I'll jump in. Jerry O'Neill Wild, Director of Legal Advocacy with the Connecticut Coalition Against Domestic Violence. And Bethany, I had the same problem with my camera this afternoon. So,
I'm Susan O'Million. I'm a survivor of homicide, and I'm with a nonprofit, the Connecticut Alliance for Victims of Violence and Their Families. And I can't see many other people on my screen, so I don't know if there's anybody else who needs to check in here.
I'd like to pop in. My name is Irene Michael, and I'm one of the Victim Compensation Commissioners, and it's a pleasure for me to be here today. But I'm sorry I can't see anyone because I'm doing all this by phone.
I'll jump in here. My name's Maurice Reeves. I'm the Assistant Division Director here at the Criminal Justice Policy and Planning Division at OPM. I'm sitting in for Undersecretary Mark Pelka.
I think Jean is the only other person. Jean, you want to introduce yourself?
Microphone may not be working. Yvette Jean Weisbrod is with our office and has assisted counsel with all sorts of administrative support.
Okay. Thanks for that. All right, so thank you guys. Welcome everyone to our meeting today. To get started, we're going to do the approval of the April 11th, 2023 meeting minutes. You should have received those in your invite. So at this time, if you want to take a quick look or glance, you can. Otherwise, we'll take a vote to accept the meeting minutes unless there's any discussion or any changes or edits that need to be made to the minutes. So if you have any edits, changes, adjustments, please say so now.
Motion to approve.
Excellent. Can we get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jessica. All right, so our meeting minutes for April 11, 2023 are approved. Thank you guys so much for that. So today we have a presentation from our very own Suzanne on her My Avenging Angels workshops. So I'm going to turn the meeting over to her for her to educate us and highlight us on what she's doing right now and her work through her organization. So Susan, you're up.
So thank you so much, Yvette, and everybody. So as my usual stance here is I'm having a hard time with Microsoft Teams. I had to move off my big computer here because Jean and I couldn't get me on. So I'm on my laptop, which I'm not real agile with, but I'm going to try to do this. My slides are up on my website, actually, so I'm going to pull it off my website. Now I'm just trying to figure out how to get to the YouTube channel so I can play the video first. And let's see if I had this open a minute ago, but let me just see if I can get this to come up. Okay, here it is. All right. I practiced this the other day. Let's see if I can get this to work. All right, so let me come back to Microsoft Teams here. So thank you for this opportunity. What I thought I would do, because the slides are up on my website, because it's too large of a presentation or a file to get through my email to send it out directly. So I gave Jean that link to that. So I'm going to now pull up, and I've been working on this on Teams to share. Let's see. Okay, the problem is, and maybe what we need to do is maybe move the agenda around. So I don't know if Jean, whoever, I'm not a presenter on Teams right now, so I can't share my screen. So I don't know if somebody can fix that. We were trying to fix this earlier, but I couldn't get on at all. So maybe, Yvette, you need to keep moving the agenda and see if I can maybe, oh, wait a second, I am a presenter. Let me see.
So we can put you on pause for now and move to legislative updates and then come back to you once that's done.
I think I can do this. Let me see.
Okay.
Let me try it.
Jean just indicated she was able to make that correction,
yes,
Susan.
Yes.
Okay, great.
And I need to go back and let's see, make sure that I'm sharing with my sound, right? And this is my small videos. Okay, screen. I'm not sure that I got the share. Okay, got the share video. Okay, so let me try this. Let me see, I'm gonna share the entire screen and I'm gonna go over here. Sorry if I talk myself through this, this helps. Okay, let's see. Is that sharing? Can you guys see a video on YouTube?
No.
Okay, now I'm not good. All right, let's go back here a second and just see why. Share the entire screen. Share
Usually when you
video.
share, you can't see us, but then we'll be able to see your video.
Right, right. It's saying I'm sharing your screen.
Yeah, we can see your screen now.
Oh, can you see
There you
this?
go.
Can you see the YouTube? Okay, so I think I got the video. I've got this up, and I've got the sound up. Okay, I'm gonna try. This is a very short video. It's about 6 minutes about my journey, and it's there. Let me also put on the subtitles.
I got the phone call in the middle of the night from my sister.
Is that good?
You know, when the phone rings in the middle of the night, it's not good. She finally said, you know, Maggie's been killed. It was just going through my head. How could this happen? How could this happen? Maggie's my niece, and she was a kid that was just phenomenal and very gregarious, kind of a problem solver for her friends. Her girlfriends always say, you know, I could call Maggie up at 2 o'clock in the morning and she'd help me solve a problem, or we'd talk it through, kind of thing. She was a sophomore in college. She was 19 years old. She had a boyfriend. She met him in, I think, February or March of her freshman year. They broke up sometime in May. He was trying to keep contact with her, and she was saying, no, I don't want to be with you. And she didn't know he had a gun. And they had some kind of argument in the room, and then shots were fired. He killed her and he killed himself. I'm like, well, how am I going to get revenge? I mean, that's how we supposed to do this. We get revenge, we throw them in jail, they won't hurt anybody anymore. Like many people today, I Googled the word revenge. I got this quote, living well is the best revenge. And that just really felt like, not only for me personally, because this man he destroyed my niece, he tried to destroy my family. It's like, no way he's going to do that. At Maggie's moment of her death, she didn't survive. She didn't have a chance to move on. And that's what first of all, I wanted to do, because I was now a secondary victim of a crime, to not only survive, but to move on and to thrive. And that I wanted to help other women to do that also. So that Maggie didn't have that chance. I wanted to give that chance to somebody else. And that's what my work's really been about.
A thriver is somebody who has experienced trauma, overcome the crisis of that trauma, to moving beyond just surviving and leaning against the wall to make it to the other side, to actually embracing the real person that they are.
It's someone that's discovered who they are and knows really what their purpose is in life.
Is determined to move forward with their life.
I am a woman of power who has made a positive impact on the world through my own healing, wellness, and creativity. Oh yes, I am a woman of power.
She came to me one night as I lay among the ashes, my dreams fading like the flames that keep me warm. She threw a log onto the fire, then I saw sparks and flashes. Sometimes I've wished just like that my life could transform.
My name is Anne.
My name is Vanessa.
My name is Sophia.
My name is Susie, and I'm a survivor of domestic violence.
That's not the only thing that defines me. I'm also a musician.
I've been a painter for about 25 years.
And I am a mom.
At the time I was a clinical social worker.
I am a master's degree student at the University of Colorado, and I'm working on an MPA with a concentration on domestic violence.
We all need something to believe in, something to dream of.
So the My Avenging Angel workshops that I do is about this moment of transformation, that I work with women to help them transform from that survivor place to a different place, which I call the thriver place. A lot of women don't know what to expect. They sort of come in and like, I don't know why I'm here.
And one of my colleagues told me about Susan and her work and the My Avenging Angels workshops.
I think the fact that the workshops were free was one of the reasons that I said, yeah, let's go, let's check it out.
It was the first time that I was among other women who were going through this, and that alone helped validate that I wasn't crazy, that I wasn't the only one going through this.
When they come into the workshop, I do not have them tell me their story. We do not discuss it. They've told it too many times before. And I, try to emphasize not what's happened to you in the past, but where you want to be in the future. So that's really the sense that they have a longing to have something else happen, and they don't know how to make it happen.
Today, I celebrate my life by letting go of past hurts, rejoicing in independence, having dreams, loving my children, forgiving myself, embracing the future, cherishing my friends and family.
And I always say to them, I can't stop going into my past either, but I can stay there for shorter periods of time. So I think that's the shift. And I always offer women that choice, and I tell them it's a choice. You can either feel like you're a victim your whole life, or you can feel like you're a thriver, that you've gone beyond even surviving.
And then she handed me the wand. She said, wave it when you want. Your life is not a fairy tale. Make it up, make believe.
Yes, I am a thriver.
I would say you could definitely classify me in the thriving zone.
I am a thriver because I know who I am. I found my own voice. I am powerful. I am strong, and there's greatness in me.
I think that just about covers everything, every part of my journey.
Every woman has a song. Happy ever after will come along. Something to believe in. It's a Cinderella song. Something to believe in. This is Cinderella song. Something to believe in. This could be your song.
Okay. And let me see if I can get myself back to where I need to be here. Back over here. Okay. I think I'm all set, right? I'm back in the room. Thank you so much. All right, so this is a video that I put together a number of years ago. You can see how much younger I look in it, but it was an attempt, and I say this a lot when I work with this material, is an attempt to really begin to have women understand what this is about. I always say that the women actually tell the story better than I do. So one of the things that I've tried to do in this process is actually to have the women speak more than I do. And that's one of the reasons why I did that. I'm going to pull up my slides here, see if I can get back to work. I'm going to get an A+ in my screen sharing today. So the workshops I've been doing for about 20 years. And as you can tell, I'm not a social worker. I'm an attorney. I used to practice law a number of years ago. And let's see, can you see the slides there? Let's see if I can go. I think I have to come back and just share the screen. Okay, I got it. Screen. PowerPoint presentation. I think that's it. Okay, how's that? Good? Is that good?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not sure that I can get to go full screen, but so as mentioned, I'm an attorney. I came to Connecticut to work for the Connecticut Women's Educational Legal Fund. I was a litigator there. Also did a lot of legislative work, the Rape Shield Law, the Confidential Communications Law, and also Gay Rights Bill. And I then worked for a while, went into state government and worked for the Office of Policy and Management, and also eventually made my way over to the Department of Children and Families, where I was deputy commissioner. As you can see from the video, I am a survivor, survivor of homicide, which many people sort of see as a piece that, well, I didn't expect it. I never thought my family would somehow, even though I'd done this work for many years, representing women before I came to Connecticut in divorce cases involving domestic violence, back when we were still fussing about and fighting about the restraining orders being pursued. So I didn't expect my family. Somehow it was the other. My family was the other, and that would never affect my family. But it in fact affected my my 19-year-old niece Maggie. And as I said in the video, which is up on my YouTube channel, that what I found was that there was a journey beyond abuse, beyond the trauma. And I started to help women to understand that journey, that this was, and I define thriver pretty broadly as a happy, healthy person with a brilliant, productive future. And that the journey is from victim to survivor to thriver, struggle to transformation to happy ending. So as I began to develop this material, what I found is that there were a lot of people that began to talk about this issue and began to try to describe it. But as I said before, what I try to do is to have the women voices come through. So I wanted to read something that one of the women who came through one of my first workshops, her name is Laura, who gave me permission to use her material. And she wrote, "When I first met Susan, I was no longer a victim, but I was wearing my survivor armor. It was heavy, defined who I was, and limited my circumstances. Susan asked me to remove my armor, consider a part of myself untouched by the abuse, invite that part out to talk and dream a while, and grieve our years of separation. Today, I know I'm bigger than my former story. I'm motivated to forgive those who have abused me and move on beyond my survivor life to something more rewarding, more authentic, and definitely more satisfying. I am thriving. So the two parts that I, as a facilitator of this workshop that I sort of made up as I went along, two parts that I got from Laura's piece was that the idea that there was a survivor armor sort of protecting you, but also limiting you, and her sort of fear that she'd always be limited by it. And secondly, there was a part of you that was untouched by all that ever happened to you. And when I started talking about that with the women, they're like, wow, a part of me has been untouched. And so that's really what I started to focus on in the workshops. And this is sort of how they're set up. They're a 2-day workshop. Women who come to both sessions of the workshop are then invited to a monthly follow-up session. All of this is free of charge. I have worked through a small nonprofit, the Connecticut Alliance for Victims of Violence and Their Families, to be able to do that over the years. And the first thing that I don't have the women do when they come into the workshop is tell their abuse story. I make sure they're safe. I make sure that they're beyond the crisis of a sexual assault. If they're not, then I refer them back to one of the programs that can help with that kind of crisis intervention. But we sort of move on from there. And the women actually welcome that. At first, they're kind of like disconcerted, like, I'm not going to tell my story. But then we really start to focus on positive energy, and that's really very helpful to them. And then the follow-up mentoring sessions, which I do monthly, is to help them. They set a goal, a new goal for themselves coming out of the workshop, maybe a goal that they have been working on but haven't been able to get enough positive energy to manifest it, to accomplish it. And then we use the monthly sessions to really keep that energy going. And because I've been doing this for almost 20 years now, I've had a number of women who come to the workshop, who come to my monthly groups, so we begin to role model for each other. This is what this person's been allowed to move forward on. And so the workshops, we actually are coming up this fall. I do them 4 times a year. They're free of charge. They're now virtual, and you can register online. I do them in October and November. So if anybody has people that might be interested, as I said, I don't ask people to define what that abuse is. So I do have women with a variety of experiences, and many of them have multiple victimizations, including sexual harassment on the job. And then what I really tried to begin to do is that thriving beyond the trauma. And Dr. Judith Herman's work has really mostly been the inspiration for even articulating this. Those of you who may be familiar with her book, Trauma and Recovery, excellent book. She talks about the core experiences of trauma are disempowerment, disconnection. And so we must, in recovery, work on empowerment and new connections. And that's really what I've begun to do. And she also has identified 3 stages of recovery, which I found really interesting. I've labeled them myself, not her, but she calls them safety and stability, which is a victim stage. Survivor, the remembering and mourning. Support, getting to see what the story is, that other women have had that same experience, and we can support each other in that. And then thriver, that reintegration. So the women, like I said, one of the things I help them do is see that they're on a journey, which is kind of interesting. They feel like, some of them feel like they've always been a victim. They've never gone beyond survivor. They could have like go between those two places over and over and over again and never really get to thriving. And they want to do that. So what I've learned in my work, and I wanted to sort of talk about this a little bit in terms of broader work with trauma victims, is that many people are talking about resilience these days, which is a really good thing. And some people are talking about stamina, and there's a difference between the two, I think. Resilience is the ability to bounce back after difficulty, which all of us want to do. And stamina is the ability to endure the difficulty, particularly as the trauma incidents may reoccur, or even if you're out of an abusive relationship, you're going to be brought back into it for a child custody kind of issue, a litigation or whatever. But resilience is sort of where we all sort of think we want to go, get back to where we were before this trauma. And if it's multiple traumas, it may be a staircasing to back down to where you might have been at some point. But the literature is saying something a little bit different. And some of this literature came out even before I started doing this work. And what it's saying now is that there's actually post-trauma growth. And that's what I think I'm working on. So if you can see from this slide, there's an equilibrium, the trauma interrupts it, and we go to surviving. And so our idea of getting back to equilibrium, that resilience place, recovery may be a word some women use. Healing is another word they sometimes use. But actually, the process could be that you go above that, you go to thriving. So surviving is just making it. Recovery is getting back to where you were pre-trauma, but thriving may be functioning at higher levels, perhaps farther than we were before. And over the 20 years, because I've stayed in contact with many of the women, this is what I see them doing. In fact, this is what I think I did. I don't think I ever would have found this work that I'm doing today, but for this experience that I went through. Not that I wanted to have it. I wanted my niece to still be alive, but the idea that I moved from the work I was doing, which was a piece of this, but really moving it up. So I think that's what we're talking about now in the victim, survivor, thriver movement, and also in the post-trauma movement. And this is a research from 1995 by two gentlemen, O'Leary and Ikovics, and it's been really touted a lot in the, and so working post-trauma, I work a lot with multiple victims of multiple traumas. Most referrals from crisis intervention programs. I also get referrals from therapists, doctors, attorney, people, women who are kind of stuck in somewhere in their process, and to shake it loose, they're suggested to come to my workshop. And what I do in the workshop is a 7-step motivational model. I kind of made this up. There's pieces of it that are in the literature. I'll show you in a minute. But it's really an attempt to, as I said before, see your journey as the first step, quiet the negative voice in your head, bring up the happy person, the part of you that's been untouched, get that positive energy, have your vision for the next thing you want to do, or the larger vision, what you want to do, overcome your fear, holding you back, fear and resistance. I'm not good enough, I can't do it. I'll never succeed, and then set those new goals and start moving. And that's where the women in my workshop have done. They started to move and moved in incredible ways. So they have, this sort of parallels the post-trauma growth research. Dr. Tedeschi is sort of the leading researcher in this area. He has teamed up with a couple different researchers. This is Brett Moore, also Calhoun. And this is his list of what the post-trauma growth looks like. Building personal strength, improving relationship with self, more appreciation of life, setting new paths, new life possibilities, finding life's meaning and purpose. I certainly have found that. Discovering a new life story. So here's how it sort of lines up with the same thing I've been seeing with the women in my group. More positive energy, less focus on the past, beginning to see that personal growth, less fear of change, and clear steps to achieve their goal. So my motivational model is basically this, that I run the women through it. Get positive energy, focus on the future, get a desire, very focused, overcome those negative voices in your head saying you can't do it, and then really focusing on what the real you is, that part of you that's been untouched. For me, it's meaningful work. If you give me something that has meaningful work as the goal, I will feel that and I will do that. So I wanted to go back to the video, and I'm almost wrapping up here, but I wanted to show you where these women are today. Once again, these women tell the story much better than I can. So Vanessa actually started singing again. The song she's playing in the video is her song. It's a song about her own journey. It's called Something to Believe In. It's based on the Cinderella song. And it's actually a song about me. I have a song written about me, about how I was her fairy godmother to help her see that she could move again. She stopped singing because she associated her singing with the partner who was abusive to her. And in the end of that relationship, he was physically abusive to her. So when I met her, she wasn't singing. We talked about where she was stuck, and she began to slowly do that. Susie, who mentioned the video that she was in school, I met her when she had a few of her credits for her bachelor's degree. She got onto her master's degree. She's now the CEO of a nonprofit. Sophia, who has that big voice, found her voice. She's now she had her MSW when I met her. She now has her license. That was her big goal. And then Anne, who talked a bit about her painting and her work, is now a hospice chaplain. So these are the ways they have begun to thrive rather than just survive. So those are the things that I have found with the women who have come through my program: returning to school, better jobs, their own businesses, started singing, become first-time homeowners. And although it's not a goal for all of them, and they may not choose to, but some have found healthy relationships. So I have done pre and post tests on these participants in my workshop. They show that even with the workshop, the 2 sessions, they start to move. The attitude starts to move, beginning to see that there's a brighter place to go to, and that they found a group of women who can help them do that. So what I think this work is prevention work. The women who I stayed in contact with, the women who have worked with me over the years, they do not return to an abusive relationship. They have moved on from the crisis of a sexual assault. They've rebuilt their self-esteem and stabilized their lives emotionally, financially, and socially. So for me, it seems to be that there's a piece missing in the continuum of care to help trauma survivors, and particularly the model that we use for domestic violence and sexual assault. You'll see Judith Herman's categories here, but the safety and stability hotlines, crisis intervention, advocacy, and then remembering and mourning, and then the peace. And for many women who've come to my program, they have felt the piece that's missing is the workshops and how I've been able to use them. So that's my information. I'd love to have anybody who's interested in making referrals. That'd be great, particularly to the fall workshops. I do have books that I've put together. I'm now working on a Train the Trainer program. I was just talking to, right before this, to a program out in Minnesota that's interested in having me coming in and hopefully through a federal grant that I've been working on to evaluate and to see how that would be integrated into their program. So I think this is the words we were talking about these days, about healing and recovery. I don't think my model is the only model out there, although I do call it a motivational model. But I think that there's a conversation that's going on in the movement. I was just at the End Violence Against Women International Conference in Chicago in April, and a lot of people, if you know that organization, a lot of prosecutors, police, law enforcement, victim advocates, domestic violence, sexual assault programs, judges were there. There was like 1,800 people at the conference. 600 of them signed up for my workshop. So I think there's an interest in this kind of process, and the way that I think, like I said, I'm not the only person that can provide this kind of model, but I think we're moving into that. So I really wanted to present this to you all today and have you thinking about and how it might fit into some of the work that you're doing, and certainly where I'd like to go with it. All right, since I can't see anybody, I'm going to shut down my screen here and just welcome if there's any comments. I'm sorry that was a little fast, but I tend to talk fast, but I wanted to make sure that I didn't go over my time with all the technical problems. But love to have this conversation with you at any point, and I'd love to see how we can work together. And also talking about this in the larger scope of victim services in Connecticut. Because I've been doing my program virtually, since COVID, I'm now meeting women all over the country, and even in other countries like South Africa, who are very interested in having this experience of healing and recovery.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Susan. Does anyone have any questions for Susan?
Susan, will you be sending out the information for the group? I have quite a bit of families that I think could really benefit from joining.
Yes, and I have gotten some referrals from Klingberg. Thank you. Yes, if the best place to get my information and give it to your clients is the website, which is part of my other website. It's myavengingangel.com. And thank you for reminding me, but I'm now doing online registrations unless somebody feels uncomfortable, and I don't ask for a lot of information, just contact information. So on that particular page of my website, which goes directly to www.myavengingangel, is the flyer. You can download it from there, and the registration link is right there. So, and like I said, coming up in May. And, you know, some people ask me, like, who's the best person to refer? It's hard to say, but definitely somebody who's not in the crisis. Not that they may not pick up something from the workshop, but there's too many things going on in their life. There's too much going on. But definitely somebody who's in that process and who may have a thought about what's next and doesn't have a formulation of where that can be. I do get a lot of therapists that refer to me, particularly because I do some visioning and I do goal setting, and that's a piece they can then bring back to the therapist, and then it becomes, you know, everybody's working together, which is really cool. But I will definitely email you some stuff directly, Amy. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Susan, first of all, thank you for your presentation. It's very informative, and I think I probably speak for everyone. Your passion for what you do is readily apparent. And greatly appreciated. I just would be interested in your response to this. So you talk about people going from survivor to thriver. How do you know when someone's gotten to that point? Do you observe things in those people that you can say, I think we've crossed into that stage 3
Across the Rubicon?
of your 3 stages?
Well, some people think this is a little crazy, but some of the women, so I can literally sometimes see them literally transform before my eyes in the workshop, that they come in kind of looking depressed and kind of down. And then particularly when I give them an art project and they start coloring stuff, and then we do the happy person inside a part of them. Sometimes they cry when they realize the part that they are disconnected to. That's absolutely true, and sort of it's lifting their spirits. But more than that, I think it's at some point they start talking a little bit different. They start talking about the future more than the past, or they start to realize the pieces they can put together. Oh, my therapist is helping me here, and this is what the support group over here is helping with, and here's what Susan's talking about. And then particularly when they come to the larger group and they start to hear the women and how they talk differently. And then the whole language is, and I don't know that it's measurable, but I do think it's a, and I don't know that's just my process, but there is a moment. I think for a lot of them, what the aha moment becomes is when I do that victim to survivor to thriver on the board, and they realize they've been going in the cycle over and over again, victim to survivor. And they will tell me, I'm a really good survivor. I can survive anything. And I'm like, well, that's great. That's resilience, that's stamina, but you want to take that energy of going around that circle and put it over into thriving. What would that look like? And so it really is their own self-definition, and it's their own moment, but it's a very different moment when it comes. So, and that's really cool. That's when my passion and my work come together in a really cool place, because if I can do that for somebody else, I couldn't do it for my niece. But I can do it for somebody else, that's golden. That's the real me, that's meaningful work. And I think we all are here to do meaningful work. So we really see that combination come together. Thank you.
Thank you for that answer. Anybody else with questions or comments?
It's really incredible work, Susan. So thank you for doing it and for sharing it with us.
Right. And I want to say about Deb Witkin, the other piece that I didn't have time to share is that when these women get into the Thriver Zone, we need to have resources ready for them. And one of the things that Deb's always been great with, and sometimes with her pro bono program, is when I have a woman who needs an attorney and it's a piece that will take her to thriving completely, that's the piece that needs to go. And that's the piece that we need to have that, you know, housing's always an issue, legal services, even just good therapists, good trauma therapists. So having that, I call it the Thriver Zone. I have a bubble thing that I do If we can build that around these women, around the program, I know a lot of programs have that, but if they're at that thriver stage, those resources are like bingo, then they can go for it. They're not gonna hold back. They're not gonna think, oh, you know, but it's a bad day and I can't do that. No, I'm gonna go thrive. And so I got this lawyer from Deb. I'm gonna go do it. All right. So thank you for that.
Anybody else?
Jerry has her hand up.
Hi, thank you. I just want to thank you, Sue, for all your years of work and supporting survivors. I know over the years, we've had many survivors that have accessed the workshop. So thank you for all that. And I also want to congratulate you on that Lifetime Achievement Award that you received last month.
Thank you. That was a little bit disconcerting when I realized how long I've been doing this, but it was really great to know, and all the people that are along the way. Yeah, and one of the things I was just on the phone right before this with a program out in Minnesota. I think the feds are interested in this. They just put out a RFP about emerging innovations, and one of them was to study writing workshops, which is most of what I do is writing at the workshops that help women to, what's the words they use, recovery and healing. So I think there's some people that are bouncing around out there who, and maybe the feds would pick this up and begin to plug it into the wonderful programs, Jerry, that the CCADV and also the Alliance put out there. And the women are really clear, those programs are what saved their lives. And they would not be sitting in front of me without those programs. Absolutely. They call my work life-changing. And so they can see their life was saved, and they have to really go out there and make it the best they can, because otherwise they would not have been here. So thank you, Jerry, for all you do, and also for Beth.
All right, so two small takeaways. Susan, if you can just make sure that you kind of get the information out. I know that it was on people's screens that they saw about the upcoming workshops, so that people here can take that back to the people that they work with. That would be helpful. And then the other piece of it is sort of the things that we've been doing as a council, and that is having members of the council step up and doing brief presentations like we just had. So we learn about the work that we're doing day in and day out. So if you are interested in presenting at our next meeting, please let us know. We're looking for people to do about a 20-minute presentation because I do think, as we saw today, we kind of get a closer look at what's going on with all of us day in and day out. So thank you. We're going to move on to the next agenda item, and that's, I have on it the legislative update. So last time we had Jerry Wild speak, we had Andrew Woods and Mary Kazicki talk about some legislation that had been proposed. Do we have anything to talk about since the last meeting about things that have happened? I know quite a few things have happened. So if you would like to report up on that, we have that some time to do that.
Yeah, actually, I'm excited. One of the things that ended up passing this session was proposed bill 6510. It was part of a larger bill of kind of establishing days throughout the year, but this particular one was an act designating survivors of homicide victims awareness month. So it's going to always be November 22nd till December 22nd. And it's something that we're really excited about. We're hoping to get the representative, her name is Mary Muszynski, who actually proposed this bill. We're hoping to do a press conference and to schedule some events at the Capitol as well as in the community.
And out of curiosity, any reason why it's selected for that particular time of the year?
I honestly don't know, and I'd be interested to find that out myself. When the original bill came out, I don't believe it listed dates, but there are several, like everything that you can think of. I don't know how they pick the dates. I don't know if someone does. I know that there's quite a few that are out there. I don't think it was something that the date was specifically picked. It was just kind of what it ended up to be. Maybe the holidays have something to do with it, if I had to guess. Maybe.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of my thought too. I don't know for sure, but I think it's a really good timing between Thanksgiving and Christmas with New Year's coming out.
Okay. Anybody else want to report up on things that happened? I see Mary. You're on mute. Okay, now you're
Great,
not.
thank you, Judge. I just wanted to let everyone know that the Court Operations Bill is now Public Act 2346. And I believe I had mentioned at the last meeting that the proposal was to include a victim's next of kin as well as victims into juvenile and youthful offender matters, and that did pass. So that is part of that Public Act.
All right. Anything else, Mary?
No, thank you, Judge.
Okay. I saw Jerry and then Andrew.
Sorry. Thank you. Actually, Senate Bill 5 passed, which is the expansion, a couple things, but one being the expansion of the domestic violence GPS program, which has been piloted since 2010 in Danielson, Bridgeport, and Hartford. Will be expanding statewide with the intention is that it'll be fully expanded across the state by 2025. CCADV is working very closely with the judicial branch in getting everything, I guess, in place for the rollout and additional sites. It's my understanding the next 3 sites that it'll be rolled out to would be Milford, Derby, and New Haven. But again, that's still not firmly set, but we are looking to expand it there initially, and working with our victim advocates and court support services, and of course a lot of training with law enforcement and various key stakeholders in the criminal justice system around the GPS program. And then the other bill, it was Senate Bill 1118, which was the establishment of an advisory council. We're actually expanding. We originally were going to omit 2 other advisory councils. One was the Family Violence Model Policy Governing Council and the Domestic Violence Offender Program Standards Advisory. What we ended up doing with this bill was incorporating all of the advisory council, looking at the criminal justice response to domestic violence under one council. So the offender program standards will be under it. The model policy for law enforcement response will be under this council, as well as just the entire criminal justice response from law enforcement to the end of it, disposition of a criminal case. We're hoping that this council will be looking at, one, the expansion of the GPS and how that's working out and rolling out, but also the uniformity of policies and procedures, whether it be warrants, the process for warrants, as well as firearms being the compliance with regards to orders of protection, and just the offender program standards. I already mentioned that one, and then possibility of the expansion of DV dockets. So those are just a few of the things we're hoping that council will be taking a look at.
Okay. And Andrew, you had your hand up earlier.
Yes.
Your virtual hand.
Yes, I did. Thank you. There's quite a bit that got passed that the governor, some of his bills that got passed, and some of that caught the media's attention in terms of some legislation that got passed that's going to be heading to his desk. But one of the things that we fought for many advocates was around some of the dollars that we were hoping to get inside the Department of Public Health newly established commission or Office of Violence Prevention. And so at least nearly 12 million of new dollars were actually secured this year for some of the youth violence prevention and intervention programming, half of which will go into DPH, the newly established office, or at least close to half of it. And then the other of these new dollars will go within judicial, probably inside the youth violence intervention bucket. And so we're glad that the state is making some additional financial commitment to some of this work.
And you had mentioned, you had given sort of a discussion about that the last meeting, so that it sounds like a significant development in that area.
Thank you.
Anybody else? No. All right, so without anything else, we'll move on to agenda item 5, the Victim of Crime Act funding update. Jim, I saw Jim on. He's on mute and no screen. had some technical difficulties this afternoon. Mary, do you have a report up on that?
Jim did have some technical difficulties. He is going to come down right down the hall and provide a much more detailed update of our VOCA funding situation than I could. So he will be here in just a moment.
Okay. Is that, do we need to move to the next agenda item, or are we good to just?
He's just walked in.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
Hello, everyone. This seems to be the day for technical difficulties.
It's okay.
The OVC director gave her monthly update, so I just want to let everybody know where we're standing at the federal level with deposits and the fund balance. As of April 30, which is 7 months into the year, collections stand at $838 million, and the fund balance is $2.4 billion, but 1.7 still has to come out for the 23 grants. So that's not all available going forward. OVC is projecting a fund balance of about 1.4 billion to start the next federal year based on current projections. And the president's budget request for next year was 1.2 billion. So we'll have to see if that changes based on what the fund balance is looking at. If it doesn't change, that's a 37% decrease from our current year grant. So hopefully there will be a change to that. The state budget that was just passed did include another round of ARPA funding for 24 and 25. So we're anticipating maintaining our existing award levels for the next 2 years. And this will be the end of ARPA funding after this budget cycle ends. The 23-24 contracts are going to be renewed at the same levels as the current year, and our purchasing department is working on getting those documents out to everybody. We had to wait for the budgets to be approved before we could do that. The VOCA Fix Act is entering its final year. So the match requirement has been waived for 1 more year for 23-24. That'll be the last year for that. So beginning in the second year of the biennium, the match requirement will be reinstated on ARPA dollars. That's all I have for an update. I'll keep council updated going forward.
Right. Does anyone have any questions for Jim? No? Right. Thank you for that report. On that sort of same note, as we move, did someone else have something? No. Okay. So sort of on that same note, you should have gotten an email dated June 6th from Jean to all of you, extending an invitation to submit articles related to trainings or information about your VOCA funded programs. So if you want to submit an article, submit it to Jean by July 10th. If you didn't get that email, please reach out to Jean, but you should have received that. It's an opportunity to kind of talk about the work that you are doing. Do we have any new business to discuss? It's very quiet. It must be the humidity. So we sort of have reached the point in our meeting this afternoon where one new thing that's going to happen is that this is Linda Cimino's last meeting with the council, and I see that she is not on screen. She had talked about that a little bit earlier. Oh, there she is.
I'm here.
So we haven't worked together that long, but I know that a lot of people on this council have worked with you for far longer than I have. And the word on the street is that you are a very humble person and you do not like a lot of attention drawn to you. So we're going to try to keep it minimal, but we could not end this meeting without acknowledging your years of service. I understand that you have been at the helm for 23 years, if I'm correct, and you have been a pivotal person and widely respected by your colleagues. So we had earmarked this part of the agenda without your knowledge to allow people to thank you for your years of service and to wish you well, and hoping that your retirement gives you many happy years and that you're doing exciting things. So we wanted to wish you well, and I will leave it to people to, if you want to say something, you may do so, Linda, but I know that some people maybe wanted to chime in and say their own things to you.
Well, you know, it's funny, Judge, before I could just jump in, and my mom may talk because she doesn't know I'm funny. But I was thinking a lot about this, and I've been on this council since 1991.
Yeah.
Because I took, when I started at CCADV, I joined as the executive director of CCADV. So it has been almost a career-long fun. I've really enjoyed meeting with all the different people who have been on the committee, and we've done some good work, and I know there's a lot of other good work under Judge, your leadership. There's a lot of good work left to be done. I just wanted to say thank you, and I'm not sure what I'll be doing on these afternoons now after 31 years.
I'm sure you will find some good stuff to do. Is July 1st your last day? Is that still your last day?
Yes, I'm retiring effective July 1. My last day in the office will be the 29th.
Okay.
All right. Yep. It's like you said, 23 years at the state. It's been an honor and a privilege to be at OVS.
So so I don't know if anybody else wishes to say anything while you have the opportunity. I'm doing my virtual hand clapping. I see Andrew's got his hand up. You've got the floor.
Andrew, could I trump you real quick because I have to actually log off?
Yep.
But
go ahead. You go ahead. Yep.
Linda, I just wanted to say congratulations on your retirement. Thank you for the service that you've provided to the state of Connecticut and all the support you've provided for not only your immediate staff, but for all of us as providers throughout the years. I'll definitely check in before you leave on the 29th. We still have to do that lunch. So we're going to have to set a date so we can celebrate your retirement. All right. Thank you. And I'll see you soon.
Thank you so much. Bye, Yvette.
Bye.
Hey, Linda, Andrew Woods. Listen, when I first started even thinking about getting support for some of the young people that I was engaged in here in the North and Hartford, you didn't hesitate to step in, advise, counsel. And when I needed you to come down here to the North and Hartford, you didn't hesitate to do that and bring staff, etc. And you've really been a great resource to not only this organization, but certainly to our community. And I wish you well.
Thank you, Andrew. That means a lot.
Thank you.
Linda, I don't even know what to say sometimes. You've always been my mentor. When I started in this field almost 20 years ago, I was green and you were always there whenever I needed something or to answer questions for me. And I'm just wanted to tell you, I'm just going to miss you a lot.
Thanks, Jess. It's mutual. Appreciate it.
So yeah, I wanted, so Linda, probably, I don't know if this is true, but you and I go back the farthest here. I was thinking about this when I was doing my Lifetime Achievement Award timeline, which was kind of frightening, but or exciting, I guess. I think somewhere in the 1980s, I think. I remember when you came on with the task force. Originally was the task force, and then CCADV, which the name change, and then we would have lunch at that Chinese restaurant somewhere in West Hartford and just support each other through a lot of stuff. So and then yeah, your support, particularly as the chair, you convinced me that I could be the chair of this advisory council that I'd only been on for about a year, and I'm like, okay, I guess I can do this, Linda. And you pulled me into your office one day and just like told me yes, 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 and so I'm like, okay, and then and then I did it, and it went well. I feel like I couldn't follow up on the people before me, like Steve, but I did, and then Judge Danaher joined, and that was great to work with him. So thank you so much, Linda, and also just for the victims that I've worked with and all of us have worked with. I don't know that they know what goes on behind the scenes of all these victim services, but you are one of the key players and have kept this alive and kept this vibrant and kept this moving, and you will definitely be missed. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you, Susan. I remember one of our first meetings was in your kitchen. True. So yes, we do go way back.
and it's lovely. It's, no regrets, no sad stories. But the idea that this movement that's what I found when I was going back and looking. This movement has been going on for a long time, and we have made so much progress. And there's so much more to do, but we really have, and our persistence and our passion and our dedication has really paid off. So thank you for that too, Linda.
Thank you.
Great. Anybody else?
My name, I'd like to say a few words if I may. My name is Irene Michael, and I want to give you my heartfelt congratulations, Linda, on your up. It's been a real pleasure knowing you all these years, and I'm going to miss you. And I want to thank you for everything that you have done for me. Take care, Linda.
Well, Irene, I always count you as a cherished friend, so thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
I just wanted to, Linda, I'm not going to say goodbye because I know it's not going to be goodbye. But I want to thank you too for being a mentor for me. When I was back at the Umbrella when I first started in the work, and I came to CCADV because of you, and then you left me, but but then you left. No, but thank you really for everything that you've done, all of your support over the years, and you talked about having done everybody doing good work. I'm going to correct you because I think we've all done great work because of the great leadership we've had in you. So thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. And as you said, I have your cell phone number.
And I just would like to take the opportunity to share that yesterday we celebrated Linda as an agency, and it was a wonderful opportunity to really recognize her service as the leader of the Office of Victim Services. But we also certainly took note of her statewide leadership within the field of victim services and with all of her system partners and community partners. And it just has been such a privilege to be a part of this organization with Linda's leadership, and also just a part of the victim services community, watching her leadership statewide. It really has been a privilege and an honor.
The OVS gave me a wonderful party recognition yesterday. It was lovely. The OVS team is just phenomenal. Very fortunate.
All right, so we have gone through our agenda. Any other new business from anyone? Hearing none. Let me just go over one thing. Our next meeting is going to be in September, on September 12th, in person on Spring Street in Wethersfield. So you're going to all get a notice beforehand, but block off that date. We've talked about it well in advance. The time is 3 o'clock. Great opportunity for us to see each other in person. We've been doing these meetings remotely for some time now. So if you can just block off that date and time, that would be wonderful. We have the summer off. We can continue to do our good work, and we will see everyone in September. We won't see Linda. Once again, thank you for all that you've done.
Thank you.
So with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Girls love
Aye, I'm
Aye.
assuming. All right, nice to see everybody. We'll see everyone in September.
Have a wonderful
Bye-bye.
summer.
Thank you,
Thank
Judge.
you.
Bye-bye.